Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Secretary, the Coptic Christians have experienced some of the worst attacks in their modern history, and we sent a petition to the White House urging that they designate the Muslim Brotherhood as a terrorist organization. And in response to that, the administration said, "We have not seen credible evidence that the Muslim Brotherhood has renounced its decades-long commitment to nonviolence." Does the administration still believe that the Muslim Brotherhood is a nonviolent organization?
As a whole, it's very hard, obviously, to wrap everybody into the same pot. There are clearly Muslim Brotherhood members who are engaging in violence. We know that, obviously.
So the administration's not recognized them as a terrorist organization. The State Department welcomed them on an official visit last year. Days after the
there was a member or two who were part of a delegation that was that attended, and nobody knew, what membership anybody had with respect to that.
Okay. Well, days after their visit, they released a statement calling for a long, uncompromising jihad in Egypt, and 2 days later, there's a major attack on the Sinai Peninsula. What should I tell and how should I explain the administration's policies and actions with respect to the Muslim Brotherhood to the 750 Coptic Christian families in my district? How should I explain the actions that we're taking to address the atrocities?
Well, we're leading the fight. I think you can tell them that there's no country doing as much to fight against violent extremism, to counter violent extremism, as the United States. We are the ones who have put together the global initiative on countering violent extremism. It's a President Obama initiative. He's led it at the United Nations. We've had major conferences and meetings on this issue, and all violent extremists are brought into the purview of these efforts as a result of that initiative. In addition, we're leading the coalition in the fight against Daesh, against al-Qaeda, against anybody appropriately designated as a violent, broadly based organization. We continue to carefully assess the status of the Muslim Brotherhood writ large as to whether or not it meets the specific legal criteria as set forth in the terrorist organization designation requirements. That's, while there are individual members that have engaged in violence and individual branches, the organization writ large under its overall heading has not expressed a commitment to that kind of activity. So it's difficult. How do you, we're looking at it.
Thank you, sir. Let's switch to the President's plan to close the prison in Guantanamo, and we haven't received many details about that. We've heard the cost estimate is $300 to $500 million to do the construction necessary to move the detainees and hold them here. No explanation has been forthcoming on how you resolve the conflict between that plan and the ban to move the detainees under the National Defense Authorization Act. 2 days ago, one of the former detainees was arrested in Spain for apparently plotting to carry out an ISIS attack in Spain. So at a high level, do you believe that closing the prison in Guantanamo makes America and Americans safer?
Yes, I do. I'm convinced it makes us safer because I think it's been an incredible recruiting tool, and I don't think it adheres to the values of our country to have people held in a military prison 14 years after they were, quote, apprehended without any charges or any evidence.
So you believe as far as the recruiting tool, someone gets radicalized and joins ISIS because they are singularly motivated by this terrible situation in the prison in Guantanamo? Is that what drives someone to make that decision?
Let me ask you something. Do you remember seeing people in orange jumpsuits in the desert having their heads cut off? Where do you think the orange jumpsuits came from? They came from Guantanamo. Okay. That was the image across the Arab world. So yes, unequivocally, it is no accident.
And is Guantanamo, the naval base in Guantanamo, is it going to end up like the Panama Canal, where if we move the detainees out of there, Is there going to
There's
call the...
no discussion.
Any plan to close
No
that, to
plan,
give it to Cuba?
no
Anything?
discussion. I would personally be opposed to that. There's no discussion that I'm aware of. No, that is not what is at stake here. What is at stake here is living up to our values. I mean, it seems to me...
We can live up to our values without closing the prison, though. We can just correct the mistakes that were made and make sure they don't happen again.